Hey you guys, Christina from Magenta Goddess, and I'm coming to you with another episode of Domestic Violence to Conscious Love, from Domestic Violence to Conscious Love. And this episode is all about polarity, right? How polarity teachings have shifted my entire relationship with my ex-partner. Of course, I've been doing the work for like 7 years to shift this kind of stuff. But what has really brought it was, first of all, that's not to do with polarity, but first of all, he will never be the man I want him to be. He will never be the dad I want him to be. He will never be the man I want him to be. He will never be the co-parent I want him to be. The funny thing is, once I let go of that, he actually, not really. He does and he doesn't. He does become a lot better, but he will never be that person. If he would, we would still be together. Full stop. Right? Allowing him to be who he is instead of attaching my idea of him to him and then freaking out and trying to be controlling when he's not that is something he has no control over. Imagine someone trying to act and be with you in a relationship of whatever way that is while you do that. It's just impossible. So you have to allow them to be who they are, and you just have to let it go and accept them for that. And accept yourself for who you are and the situation. So much peace is created. So then, polarity teachings are all about feminine being in their radiance, in their heart, expressing from their emotions, all of that, right? When you move through court and domestic violence, there's a lot in the head. There's a lot of facts. There's a lot of, he's done this, he's done that, right? There's no like, what does your heart actually feel? And also, I get it, there's a lot of trauma, but we want to address that. But also among the trauma, there are a lot of true heart feelings that need to be considered, that we want to be in and express ourselves from and live from. That is what makes the difference. The man then gets to be in the devotional role, right? So they get to consider your feelings or not. It depends on how they act, but there's nothing you can do about it. You can't make them do it. All you just do as a woman is express your feelings, express your heart, make requests, right? Of course, be respectable, respecting yourself. Like, don't be a doormat. It's about being in your self-worth, valuing yourself, but then it's also about how you communicate. Not from blame, not from leading him or anything like that. It's just like, this is how I feel, these are my concerns, my needs and desires are, that's it. Bring it to the table, right? And then allow him to be his own man, basically, right? And show up in his own leadership the way he does. I noticed that in some ways, I have never respected his leadership. Ever. I wanted stuff, and although he said, let's do this way, or that way, or this way, sometimes I just do my thing, and although he would actually give me the green light. And then we would, but there was a way where I have not respected his decision making as him and his, that's the way he leads, right? So instead of then coming forth with, I'm feeling disrespected in that sense, and just bringing forth my heart, I would run, shut it down if he didn't listen to what I had to say, go to court, get a court order, get it my way, done. Holy shit, I wasn't fucking around. But now it shifted in a way that I allow him to be in his own leadership and accept it for what it is. It may not be my ideal version or how I would do it, but I can work with that. Like, if I allow him to be that, and then if there's something that doesn't sit right with me, I just bring it up again and say, look, these are my concerns. You know how scary it is sometimes to open up to someone that you don't trust with your heart, and open up anyways and share that? The interesting thing is, I have an easier time opening my heart up to him, although we hurt each other deeply in the past, than I have with some new men in my life. Interesting, eh? Anyways, open it up again and speak clearly. Like, these are my concerns. I'm afraid that this and this happens. And you know what? this actually allowed us to have 2 or 3 really deep conversations where I got to drain, where he got to drain. The trick is, once you come up with your heart, they may open up with their heart. And that might trigger you, and you go into the story again of, but then back then you did this, and back then you did that. And if you are like my ex and I, and you have been exes for years, there can be a lot of stuff. And there can be deep trauma in this. Deep trauma, right? You want to be aware of it and just hold yourself. It's like, oh, done. Okay, that's my trauma. I'm in the story of what happened 3 years ago. We're not there anymore. I'm just feeling the hurt because I remembered it from what you just told me. So I'm just allowing myself to feel this and express it, and then go back into my heart and respond from there. And sometimes what I did was, you know what, look, I'm back on the story. It's been years ago that this happened. I don't want to go back there. I just would like to decide this and this right now, and these are my needs now, and these are my desires now. Right? I guess I cannot cut it short, but that was true to my heart in that moment, right? And it was really incredible because he said things and I said things, and he feels like where we live now because he followed us here from the bush, right? Because I moved here because he would never give me any of my material belongings back, so I had to build a new life, and I thought it would be easier here, and he would move with us to the coast. And he said, do you think the coast would be my favorite residential spot to live in? And I said, it's not my favorite either. I would be over in Germany. And I realized that we actually share the same fate. Within all of this, I thought it was unfair to me and fair to him, but we are both suffering. Like, we are both not in our ideal world. And then he came forth with things like, I do want us to have an amazing co-parenting relationship. I really want to make this work. And you know what? I trusted my own heart, and I felt into his words. And did I have trust issues come up? Hell yes. Did I have voices in my head that say, do not trust him, run? Yes, I did. But you know what I did? I dropped deeper into my heart beyond all of these fears, and I said, you know what? I receive your words, and I trust. I choose to trust that. Can I be burned? Yeah, but who can really only hurt yourself? You. Yeah, maybe by shutting everybody out, but that's not always how it works, and that's also not how you shift relationships, especially not domestic violence, especially not if you have to, because you have two parents in the space. So you want to bring it back to love. I love my ex now. I really do. It's a different type of love, but I genuinely love him. It's fun. I genuinely love him. So anyways, this polarity work, me staying in my heart. So if he does get respectful, which doesn't happen anymore, I flow away. I would do it in the past. I would just hang up. Or I set boundaries. I said, look, I know we can just keep talking right now, but I really need to go down. And he respects my boundaries. He's like, I know you have to go now. I hang up. And then he texts and says, maybe we can have another chat then, or organizes something else. And we work through this like adults. So you just have to be aware again, right? Why can't you do this like 7 years ago? Okay, that's your story. You're getting upset and angry and frustrated. What is this really all about? Where is this coming from? Feel it in your heart and in your body, and then act from a new place. Our relationships are totally different now. Our relationship is really incredible and amazing. Like, we can talk, we just hang up. He does his thing, I do my thing. We don't always agree. We don't have to. So, yeah. As a woman, it's also receiving the man's gifts, right? Their leadership, their ideas, their thoughts, their actions, their gifts. Like, all the things they give to you is actually them wanting to give to you. That's the way they love you. That's the way they serve you. That's the way they provide for you. That's the way they devote to you. So it's about what you make of it, right? If you never appreciate anything they do, what do you think happens? And of course we can say, but he hurt me, but he stole your child, what are you doing, but he did this, but you're still living in a different country. Yeah, but I also like to live a life, you know. I don't want to live like this forever. There must be a way of handling this without fighting for the rest of Heinrich's life. So I'm receiving what he has to give, choosing to trust, choosing to be in my worth and to receive. If it doesn't feel right to me, I would say thank you, no thank you. This is how I feel about it. Or I just say thank you, no thank you. But I chose to receive him because that's how they feel respected. That's how men feel appreciated. Did you know that? Oh, why would I respect him? Whether you want to hear it or not, that person is your child's parent. Your child consists 50% of you and 50% of the other person. You talk to your ex-partner disrespectful and degrading, blaming him, by the way, for being degrading and abusive and offensive, while you were being just the same and manipulative, telling yourself that you aren't because he actually is and you're the good person. Nah, baby. You're doing yourself a disservice right there. And your child feels all of it because through unity and in their actual deep, scientifically proven energetic sense, we are all one. And they feel it. And that's what traumatizes them. Whether you say it in front of them or not, they can feel it. Heinrich knew. Heinrich knew we don't get along. We haven't even talked in front of him for years. He knew we hated each other. And I knew I was doing the inner work not to hate him because I knew he can feel me. Right? So I was like, I know, darling, I know I can still feel it, but I'm working on it. I really do. Like, I know your dad is not bad and it's just his behavior. For years I've been like digging. Right? And I was like, oh, why don't I just say in my fucking feminine? And I say to myself, I was like, darling, you know what? You tell me sometimes you hate me. Does that mean you genuinely hate me? Sometimes you just express your feelings in that moment to me. It doesn't mean we hate the whole person. We love them. And he's like, oh, right, they have to learn too. But we are actually now, his dad and I are now at terms where he feels that we like each other. He's like, finally, you guys like each other. He can sense that because we do. We do. It's genuine. And if you can love yourself genuinely and stay in that heart and be respectful to yourself and know that by receiving their gifts, by receiving their ideas, by receiving their leadership, men, by you giving that and your woman receiving that, that's how they feel respected. I didn't know that. I was sometimes, he had ideas and I was just brushing them off, not even considering them. In a sense, to a man, that feels so rude. It's like he's giving me this amazing gift and you just chuck it away straight away. And then you tell them they are unreceptive and hard and nasty. That's how they feel. Right? So if you know that, you can just receive it. Even if you don't want it, you just receive it and then express how you feel, because you doing that gives a man an idea of where you actually are and what it is that you need. Otherwise, they don't know. If you constantly just blame them for how horrible and horrid they are, they just feel like you're throwing stones at them. How can they ever change? If you never set a clear boundary, stay away from my place, please. This is not where you live anymore. No one says that. People throw DVOs at each other for, you're stalking me. And they're just sometimes coming back to get the fucking mail. Right? And then it's about the children, and then they hold each other's off and use it against each other. I was like, that's not okay, but that's everybody trying to get control in the situation when really no one is in fucking control in the first place. And trust me, karma is a bitch and it always comes around and slaps you in the face. Trust me on that one. The truth always comes out. The funny thing is that love is the truth and everything else is just the trauma that we're all holding within, that we can just feel through, return it back to love and create the desired outcome that we want. Whether you feel like you have your children right now, or DVOs against you, or court cases against you, or someone, saying in court that gosh, you're abusive and stuff, that's just all outside stuff. What matters is how you feel in your heart. What is in here? I'm terrified. I'm afraid of losing my son. I'm afraid of being alienated from my son. I'm afraid this goes pear-shaped again, like it has been 7 years ago. I'm terrified that we're not gonna make it. Okay, feel it. Feel it. Make your heart space. Imagine your heart in the center. It's like an energetic vortex around it, really big. Let the feelings come up. And then be with what is. For me, like, there's a knowing that my son will be fine. My son will always be in my life. I know that I will do what it fucking takes to make sure that he is okay and safe. I know that, first of all, because I've done it and because I know inside that's who I am. But I also know that I want to raise a man. And that he can handle himself. If he tells me that that is what he needs right now, then I have to trust that. Because that's what I choose to do. He's just 8, yeah, but when do you want to start raising a man? With 40? That's you doing it now. Today. If you tell him at 8 he can make his own decisions and his own authority, he will know that with 30 and 40 and 50. If you don't right now, chop his balls off and you protect him all the time, when do you want to start? When do you decide as his authority right now that he is ready to grow up and he already tells you he's ready to grow up now? 40, 20, 18? When he takes drugs the first time, all of a sudden, oh yeah, you know. And they'll be like, huh? What? What happened? Never made decisions my whole life and all of a sudden I'm supposed to? That's how I felt as a kid. I was like, no, we're doing this. And then pushed out of the house, says, the world is yours. Fly. Huh? Where are my fucking wings? I never grew them. They've always been cut off. My childhood was not just like that, but to a degree it was. Right? So, I hope this makes sense. So if you do feel scared of anything, especially if we have to stay away, especially if we are not with our kids, or there are whole court cases that look like everything is against us and we are the crazy one, don't bite the story. It's just a story. It's supposed to make you grow internally, which means what are the feelings that come up? How do you want to feel? What do you actually want to experience? I want my child in my care. I want the best outcome for everyone. By the way, what's best for you is best for everyone. No matter what that looks like. That's why you have to drop into your own heart and figure out what it says. Beneath all the trauma, you gotta need to learn to listen and trust that and make it big. That's who you are. That's who you are. Not like your friends, your co-workers, your family, your ex, your child, your anything. You are the only person that knows who you are. If there's someone out there that doesn't, they are welcome to get to know you. Right? So, that's who you are. That's where you are at. That's all you need to do. It gets scary because it gets dark and the whole entire universe sometimes is against you. Why do you think it's inspirational to stick to your goals although everybody turns around you? Because you move through it anyways, faithfully standing in your own truth, heart and love that you are. And that's how you move forward and things shift. I had a whole court case against me. My kid was on the watch list, not being able to fly back to Germany because I was apparently abusive. My ex applied for full custody. I wrote it out on faith and I had full custody. My ex saw him 9 to 5, 1 day a week, 9 to 5. The DVO I handed out against him, he received that on his birthday. He's like, I received them, but it's like, well, fucking don't hand me a court order. Tell me they're finalized court orders already after you allow me to fly home to Germany over Christmas. Don't you think that was someone pulling the carpet underneath my feet? Because it fucking was. From his perspective, he was just probably scared that I don't return because his parents got into his ear. everybody gets into their ears, and then you forget that you were actually having fun at some point, or you were actually in love making this baby. You forget all of that because you get in your head and you get into the trauma, and it hurts. It fucking hurts naturally just to break two people up that have a child. That is so deep. There is so much love there. Just processing that is huge. And then everybody else gets scared. Friends get scared, family gets scared, and then all that fear comes in, and they want to latch on, and they want to help, and then it happens on both sides. And nobody knows how to deal with this, because nobody trusts their heart anymore. Because if we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. It's true, man. So we have to return back to that, and you can only do that by dropping in. And that takes courage, because you know what? The stuff you say in some areas is probably nothing that someone would recommend you to say. I was self-representing for 3 to 4 years in court, and I said things at some point like, you know what, to be honest, sometimes he was sitting just really peacefully on the floor reading books with Heinrich, and I loved that about him. You know, you gotta get real. You were physically, energetically connected at some point making a baby. Of course it hurts right now. You have to feel that pain. That's what you need to feel to return back to it, to remember who you are and where your boundaries are. And that actually, by the way, gives you the energy to move out of that mess. Because you will feel so much pain that you know what? I will get this done. I will get through this. I will get my child back. Of course I will be in his life. That's who you are. Not someone who's, my pain. This person did that to me. No, that's not you. That's just a story playing small because underneath you're too scared of being who you actually are. So Min's natural instinct is leading a woman back into her heart. How are you feeling? What's underneath this? Can you actually do that for someone that's hurting because you're not around anymore, or you weren't the person they wanted you to be? While you are in pain, that they are not the person that you wanted them to be? That, my friend, is conscious love. That is conscious love. Feeling your own heart first. And then being there for another. And you know what? If it doesn't work and you need a boundary, then you must set it because you are a priority. But then everybody else is a necessity. That's conscious love. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, send me a message. My Oracle card readings are available for you, where I will be leading you into your heart, where we feel all of these emotions for good, and we remove it at the core, so they are an issue of the past. So you get to move through this fast with amazing results. So you get to create harmonious relationships again. But it's also a job that I have been doing now for 7 years. And now I'm coming to genuinely really love my ex fully. I have moments that are like, what? But I do. I've done it I think a year or two ago already. But yeah, this is how we do it. So if you want to work with me, send me a message. I also work with kids. I have helped Heinrich travel his stuff so many times. When they start to act out, or you think the other parent sits in their ear, or that you're being alienated and blackmailed and what have you, it's all shiftable. It's the same story. You'll be sitting with them, feeling their feelings, addressing all their fears, and returning them back to love so they can grow up to be the happy children they are, and then grow into adults. Functioning, healthy, loving adults, right? So I'm also working with parents and their children. I've worked with countless people and families before, returning all of that back to love again, empowering children, empowering their relationships where they both went back to harmony, where there was a connection again, there was communication again, even with kids with ADHD, for example, that seem to be challenging in a different way. In that sense, it's everybody responds to this. There's no too hard, too soft, too little, too old. it's too traumatizing, it's too bad, it's too dark, that's just your story. That's just reach out. Especially if you're reading this, if you've heard about me, if you get a nudge, I can help you. That spirit already knocking on your door saying, here is the solution. So please reach out. You're welcome to ask me any questions, and I'm happy to answer them free of charge. And if you want to work with me, send me a message. I also have my free group available that you can drop into and do all the free meditations already. Do the free meditations every single day. You will shift that. You will have the same results. There are different ones that help you feel your feelings. There's some where you can drop into your own inner childhood. Then there are tools and then that you can use with your children to work through that, to create harmony, to create connection again, to give them tools how to express themselves, how to find because it's not easy for them either. Their parents separate, they are hating each other, they can feel the cords, they pick up stuff. It's tearing them apart on the inside just the same. So to help them, you can do that too. You don't have to. It's always enough to work with a parent, but if you want to, you're welcome. I'm open for it. So if you feel like someone could benefit from hearing that, please tag them in the comments below, share the live stream, and until I see you next time, I'm sending you lots of love. I hope you're well.